Today's been a one hell of a day at work. So we might talk about it a little bit. I don't want to get too explicit into detail for certain reasons. We'll see where this takes us. Anyone here is more than welcome to join in. That's what it's about. Just gonna have fun, talk about life, maybe analyze a couple things. Just a generic conversation, if you will. So I'll wait a couple seconds to see if anybody joins in. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to go to my Flipboard just to see if there's anything relevant that I could share with you in the meantime. See if there's any airline news. All right. Guess nothing terribly too important in the aviation sector. Something's always going on, don't get me wrong, but not finding anything really terribly relevant. Um, but like I said, today was quite stressful. Quite stressful. Getting some snow. That's part of it. Um, was part of the deal. And don't get me wrong, because where I am, I'm getting absolutely nothing. It's more of a misnomer compared to where like New York and Boston area is getting like oodles and oodles and oodles of snow. Um, but yeah. Hi Janae, welcome on board. So Janae, you're perfect for this. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but what I dealt with at work today has a lot to do with what you're um, going to school for and have gone to school for. Um, I'm sure, even just as a friend and a viewer, I'm sure you'd have a lot of insight. Um, I said a few minutes ago before you joined that I'm gonna purposely not get terribly too explicit into detail, and that's just for my protection and the protection of the people that I work for, and including but not limited to the company that I work for. To one, because this is social media, and you never know what can happen. Um, but But yeah, got into a serious argument with my boss, and don't freak out as much as you would normally freak out, because this boss is more of a, don't know any appropriate words that I can use other than low key boss, kind of. He was only in charge because it happened to be his shift. So he's not like my immediate main boss, if you will. She the one that I dealt with today is a male, not that it makes any difference because it doesn't. It's just perspective as far as who is who. Yeah, and I love the word that you just used, sassy, because found out the ugly, dirty version of what laxed, the meaning of laxed, what that could be. And right now, that's putting into serious perspective of why somebody that's like that, because this guy, and no names will be given other than me, myself, and I. You already know who I am, and most of you. Um, but he's one of those bosses where he's very laxed, not only laxed, but relaxed and chill. And 99.9% of the time, he's a decent dude. He's actually pretty dang on cool. And he's cool because he's laxed. Y'all, any of you that are watching right now, even Janae, I don't know, but I don't know if you guys had a boss where they're laid back and they know that their employees, the people that work for them, or maybe their team, whatever you want to call it, associates. I hate that word, by the way. I hate that word. I don't even call it associates. I call it associate shits. It has nothing to do with tonight. That's my way of saying the word. Don't ever call me an associate. I'm not an associate. I don't work for a law firm. So let's clear that up just so everybody understands. I never went to law school, never will. um, then I'll be an associate. I'll be Ryan and Associates. Oh, good God. But no, he's one of those where he's relaxed where um I like that because it's getting him even better, because he doesn't give a crap, as long as we can get our crap done, our job, and what we're supposed to do on a daily basis, which from where I work, you know, day to day it changes as far as the day itself is concerned. Every day is different, but we're all at the end of the day almost hourly doing the same tasks that we do every day, if that makes any sense. So he's pretty cool. You could joke around with him, you could cuss at him, and not that I do that by the way, but sometimes you could slip a word or something, and you know goes into one ear and out the other, and he's pretty freaking cool. And then he's one of those where, like, if he's having a frustrated day, he'll come to Ryan, me, or somebody else, and he'll involve us and be like, "Look, I'm frustrated about this BS," and blah blah blah. And 5 minutes later, it's one of those situations where it's just the day to day life of working at a supermarket, if you will, and life goes on, and yada yada, and boo hoo, and ha ha ha, situations where you know. Well, today ended up being a pretty big deal because, um, like I said, compared to what Boston and New York area and them, there's more areas than just us two, but the generic areas that are just getting absolutely flipping hammered with snow compared to what little they're saying, maybe if we're lucky, maybe anywhere between 6 to 9 inches, depending on where we are here in Ohio. Yes, Ian, welcome on board. How you doing, buddy? Um, so imagine me being frustrated at work because it became seriously difficult to do my job, what I normally do because of the snow. A little background is 9 times out of 10, when it's snowing and there's a certain amount on that parking lot, you call the guys, they'll show up. They might not show up in 5 minutes. They'll get there. They'll get there. And that was part of the misunderstanding tonight because that's what it was. It was a huge misunderstanding to the point where we were literally had a shouting match in front of customers on the sales floor, which is a big, big, big no no. You don't do that in sales, in retail. Don't don't do it. Don't do it. Um, so Tuesday will be a little interesting because the main boss will be finding out exactly what happened, how it happened, why it happened, who it happened to, and at one point it even involved a couple customers too, which is kind of disturbing too. But what I meant by the dirty side of uh, the gentleman who was in charge tonight, the night manager. Um, like I said, 9 times out of 10, he's really really cool. And if you have a problem with him, 9 times out of 10, he's open to it, and he'll discuss his problems with you as far as problems that he's having. You know, not that he has problems with Ryan or another one of my coworkers or something, but it usually gets dealt with, and it's not even usually just a misnomer. No big deal. But at the end of the day, he ended up thinking that I was mad and upset at him because we couldn't get plow trucks in our parking lot. And I've been at the store and in retail long enough where, um, and we've gone through a couple companies um, throughout the years. Sometimes they change companies. Sometimes they bring back a company they've had before years ago, and then I'll bring them back. And then I don't know if they take turns. I don't know what the deal is. But um, years ago, I'm talking as recent as even last year, last winter. Um, the background of this story goes way, way back where, you know, you call them, they'll show up. They're not going to wait until we close. The store that I work at is not a 24-hour store. However, we used to be a 24-hour store. And so back then, when we were a 24-hour store, it was impossible to wait until we're closed because we were never closed. Okay. A plow truck can't do that regardless of what company or who hires the company or who has contracts with what company. It doesn't matter, you know. And today I'm finding all kinds of different information that I would normally find out from like my head boss. And I already know this. I don't know specifically, but I have pretty doggone good, really, really good clues as far as the general dynamics of how things work at the store. I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. I may not want to know everything unless I'm in his position and I'm the one making those decisions. I'm one of those. I want to be real clear with you. If you ever worked with me, or if I ever work for you, or if you ever, yeah, if you ever work for me, or if I ever work with you or for you, or if you ever work for me, whatever. I know it's late, but I'm one of those transparent where whoever's in charge, I don't give a damn why you're in charge, who appointed you to be in charge. I don't care if the politics are involved. I don't give a damn. What you say goes. You're the leader of that team, civilian or military. If you're the leader, what you say goes. Now, obviously, there's obvious exceptions that we all know about, like you know, like if I was your leader, I can't just sit there and get pissed off at you and sit there and say, "Drop it, give me 20," because sit there and go back to my military head. That's illegal. I can't make a civilian do that. Okay, nor could my boss make me do that either. You know, um, military personnel probably still could, but that's a whole nother thing. But that's how Ryan thinks. You know, and And then on top of that, I kinda make it worse. "What's up? Brendan, what's up?" I always make it worse because, I'm so stuck in my head where, you know, if one person suffers, everybody's suffering. I learned that in the military. You know, if you're in that Humvee and you drive over or you get hit by IED, okay, well, it's not just one soldier that's in that Humvee or MRAP, whatever vehicle it may be. You're all going to suffer in some way. Okay. Same thing in the civilian world. That one person in it can affect the entire team, whether they realize it or not. Okay. The stuff that I did not get done tonight, which I had more of a problem than my boss because usually most bosses are like, "Hi, how come you didn't finish the job?" Come on, get with the program, Ryan. I've had bosses like that. I'm sure a lot of bosses are like that, and rightfully so. You should be. You know, awesome. How you doing, bag paper? What's up, Don? Um, and like I said, anybody's more than welcome to join. Because after I'm sharing this story, once this story's done, we're all here to have fun at the end of the day. That's what this is about. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to get this off my chest because, you know, in years past where we'd call the trucks and they would show up. And the reason why I know that this year is not anything special, COVID-19 related or not, because it's actually not, has to do with snow on flipping pavement. That's all it had to do with. If I go up to my boss and say, "Hey, can we get the trucks here? Can we call them?" And my boss says, "I can't call them." Be a little bit more transparent of why you can't call them. And his reasoning why he couldn't call them was um, because they apparently he thinks that they show up whenever the hell they want. Those were his actual words. They just show up. And he's like, they'll probably end up waiting until we're closed and they'll probably end up showing up like at 3 o'clock in the morning. Being a little sarcastic. I'm kind of sarcastic at work too, by the way. Um, that's just kind of how I am. And that's okay. That's how I roll by or whatever. I'll joke or whatever. And a lot of my jokes are sarcastic related or whatever. Usually makes people laugh, but sometimes it doesn't. But I'm sitting there relating to like how's today any different than in the past? And then our previous snowstorm, which was a little bit less than what we're having like right now here in northeastern Ohio. Um, I came in and it was in the middle of the day, so the day shift manager, which has a little bit more authority than the gentleman that I had a legit argument with tonight. She even has more authority. And she's only 90% of the time she's only in charge of the front end, our front end supervisor. But like once a week she'll close and she'll close the store. So she's in charge, just like what this gentleman was tonight. But he does it the majority of the nights because that's what his title actually is. He's a night crew manager. A night crew lead is actually what we call him. And I addressed it to the front end supervisor. And before I can get a word out edgewise, and she looks me dead in the eye. She goes, "I just cussed out the company." I'm sitting there thinking, first of all, you don't look like somebody that would cuss somebody out. Now I'm thinking this. I didn't tell her that, but I'm sitting there trying not to laugh. I'm like, holy crap. Like, okay, it's like she's a human being too. So obviously she's capable of cussing out to people too. And I would too, if I'm frustrated or whatever. But to me, it's more of a safety issue. So later tonight, in the middle, I know I'm going back and forth, but like later tonight, I'm literally having like a conversation and an argument at the same time where, we're talking all kinds of banter to each other to the point where, like, Gary, you're in charge. So how would you flicking feel if somebody fell out there? Because it was a tiny bit slippery, but it was manageable. Wasn't enough where it was too much of a concern. And really, salt wouldn't have done anything because we would just been wasting. We use the same bags that we sell. We have one of those salt hoppers that you push or whatever the same way as a lawnmower, push lawnmower would be, and you just have at it and whatever, and you put a couple 5-pound bags of the Morton salt in the hopper and have fun with the damn thing. I mean, come on. But, and that wasn't possible because there was so much snow that it wouldn't have done anything at all. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, I'm not going to shovel because I have a regular shovel. It's not special. It's not bigger than what somebody would buy from a store. So I'm like, okay, you can't shovel with a hand shovel a 3 acre plus parking lot or even sections of it. It's just not going to happen. Now we get a whole damn team together, sure. Get a couple shovels, have at it, and we have done that before. We've had snowstorms where we've had no choice, where we sit there and we get like 3 or 4 people. Um, Hold on a second. You guys still there? Get an indication that some of our viewers may not be able to see me. Hopefully, you guys are still good. Good. Um, it says I'm still live. 21, almost 22 minutes here. But the fact of the matter is that if we can't get the trucks right away, I understand that. And this guy failed to understand that. I actually understand. He's like, Ryan, they're not going to show up in 5 minutes. He's being purposely uh, sarcastic, you know, maybe a half hour or something, an hour maybe. But, you know, back to the female manager, my front end manager, she was telling me, she's like, yeah, I literally cussed out the plow driver. I'm like, "Why? What happened?" Or whatever, because I was, like, getting ready to, like, clock in, so, like, I wasn't there. I didn't see what was going on, whatever, and she's like, "Yeah, I called him, like, 5 hours ago, and he still didn't show up, and he showed up, like, 10 minutes ago." So she's like, "I called him and cussed him out." So, number 1, I know that we can. There's a possibility, I don't even know how. Maybe she had behind the scenes work and she found out the number somehow and called her on her own terms. But according to my night manager that I had an argument with tonight, I guess he says that we can't even call the plow company anymore, let alone calling them. So at first he was refusing to do so, saying that it wouldn't even matter anyways because they'll just show up after you leave and at will just whenever the hell they get to our plaza after they do other plazas. And I'm sitting there trying to put two and two together. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, that what you're saying doesn't make any sense. And you're saying that I have a problem with you not doing something. Like the worker has a problem with his boss not doing something, not what the boss would normally you would think would have a problem with me not being able to get my doggone work done. And hold on a second. All right, sorry about that, guys. Um, but just the stress of the day, is one of those things where you just kind of like you kind of blow it over, and it's another day in the book. So what? Big deal or whatever. And then that's when sit there after I clock out. By the way, this is after I clock out, so this is now on my own personal time. Sit there, and he decides just to rant me out on the floor in front of customers. Yeah, you don't do that. I've had bosses in the past that were pretty questionable, much, much, much more so than this gentleman, both in individual situations and as a whole. And this is more of a misnomer compared to them because I was more on a daily basis. Not you would get an army argument or something on a daily basis, but yeah, there was once upon a time that we had a front end manager where he took one of my coworkers, and I'll never forget this. I forget exactly what year this was. This was a long time ago, but the story goes that um, he took one of my coworkers in to the front end office, closed the door, and from where the front end office is compared to in the back of the store, you're talking a 96,000 square foot store. Okay. And there were people in the dairy department that can hear him clearly. And we did. We can hear him clearly. Like we could make out words or whatever. And he was screaming that loud. And like I said, that was years and years ago. So after the fact a little bit, I sit there and there's a little hallway. Um and It's like an access door that our curbside now uses. And a lot of us will hang up our coats in there. And he went to the hallway and he punched a hole in the wall. He was that frustrated. And then ever since that day, we got him transferred to somewhere else. Tried to get him fired, but he ended up getting transferred and haven't seen or heard from him since. But yeah, I just wanted to de-stress about that. Just let that off because it's like, you know, I'm hearing different things from one manager first that's in charge at that time versus something else from somebody that has more authority, who's in charge more of the time. So, for example, like when she's there, when they're like both there, if they overlap, she's in charge of him. She has more authority than he does. So we'll go to her first. You know, um, it's one of those things. Um, so I don't know, kind of weird. Um, but Hopefully the app is stable because it seems like I keep freezing. So I don't know. I might restart. I don't know. I know it is late, so um, but Don, if you're still here, and Brendan, if you're still here, um, I'm getting a message from a DM saying she's having trouble on her end trying to watch the broadcast right now. So that's why I'm multitasking. That's what I'm doing. So I'm talking to you guys in both forms live here right now. So, but yeah, if I keep freezing, I'll just hop off. Maybe it's maybe something behind the scenes that I can't control. I'm not so sure. 'Cause I'm not running anything special, nothing hardcore that'll do anything. So maybe it's just having a bad night too. I don't know. Um, but hopefully this is okay. But I did mention that I had a little run in with two customers too. So that'll be probably be the most questionable thing. I mentioned Tuesday because I'm off tomorrow, but with my main boss is I'll address that live like, hey, you know, if you're gonna cut me off, I could go to a boss that doesn't give a damn that I would think would care, you know, it's laid back or whatever and say, "Well, you're alive, right?" Whatever, dude. Whatever. Um, so I went up to a coworker and I'm like, "Hey, I need a witness or whatever." Sit there and I grabbed just two, and I said, "Hey, follow me." And I told him very calmly, very nicely. I said, "It's like normally I wouldn't be the one addressing this, but you guys just you can't do that. Like you sit there and cut me off, almost hit me. Like you cannot do that." And he's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize." The guy looked right at me when he was turning the vehicle, only to park on the opposite side from where it came from. Because I told him, I said, any other store, they would just get on their phones and they would call the authorities. I said, we're not like that here. But I said, I'm in a mood that I could do that right now. And I said, I'm sorry that I have to bring it up, but, it is what it is. And yeah, nobody got hurt, but just be careful out there, you know. So she might say something about it, and then I'll be perfectly honest with her. It's like, hey, if I get in trouble because I'm addressing somebody because this is then I almost get hit, then I'm gonna have some serious problems with you. I don't give a damn who you are. I don't care what kind of boss you are. I'll have problems with you too because I'll fight that tooth and nail. Because of what that tells me, ladies and gentlemen, is that sit there and you wait for somebody to you'll promote safety, 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 safety to the point of where um then you sit there, oh, why did he get hurt? Why did he get hit? What happened? Well, at that point, you don't give a damn what happened because it already did. Tonight didn't, only because I was paying attention, you know. But, you know, I don't know if it's a policy, but what our company generally likes to do is say, you know, Ryan would normally go up to his supervisor, who the team lead is, and say, hey, such and such happened. How do we go forward from there? And then, in this specific example of what happened, they might have talked to them, got their side of the story, and like, hey, Ryan, it's no real big deal. You make it a big deal about it, yada yada, and life goes on. Well, that's only going to happen so much, you know, because we're getting to the point where everybody's getting pissed about every little thing, even me included. We're just getting pissed about every little thing that happens. It just crawls up, and that ball gets bigger and bigger until that ball explodes. And whether you realize it or not, almost every single one of us is dealing with that right now. We all are. Promise you. Even if you don't realize it. Um, things will build up over time. Even if you do tend to address things, you know, things will tend to build up because it's there, and that builds character. That builds of who you are in the future, who you are live in that moment, and then who you are in the future. And I don't know, like, you know, if somebody has a problem with something and then you want them to address such a problem, and then you have a problem with them reporting the problem, then you're the problem. Okay. And that's what happened tonight. And, things rub me certain ways, and sometimes it rubs me a little dirty. And Ryan's the nicest person you'll ever meet, I promise you, especially in person. A lot of fun in person. But don't play me dirty because I play dirty back. I have an inside joke with my or not my customers, but my coworkers, where like I don't know how to be mean anymore. When you have to stand up for yourself, I don't know how to be mean anymore. I mean, there's 2 nights where, like tonight, where I felt like I was walked all over, or to the point where I played dirty, because even playing ugly, like what I used to do, is not working anymore, where you literally have to get down and dirty with somebody in order to get them to understand, because they fail to understand, because they have some type of problem understanding, and there's no problem really with somebody that doesn't understand a given situation, because that's, that, an example is my handle. That's why I call myself Perspective TV, to give you guys that another viewpoint, so to speak, if you will, that perspective in life, where some things, you have to play a little dirty, because there's nothing wrong with not understanding something, but if you purposely not understand something and then you're the one in charge, but it's a situation where you're in control of that situation, or you need to be in control of that situation. And if you're the goofball, or the fool that decides to make it worse, and people will sit there and address it to you, saying, "Hey, you're not helping. You're making it worse." Well, who's the fool now? Because then we're pointing our fingers right back at you. Like, hey, look, I had one of my another coworkers, when we were having a legit argument. He was telling, not me, but uh my boss, so to speak, that night manager. He's like, "Hey, calm down, walk away, calm down." So that's what he's gonna have to understand, and it's gonna be difficult to under for my main boss to understand, because she's not there when he shows up. So yeah, that's what happened today, and I don't know. Sorry, guys. Hold on. But yeah, I don't know if on your end, how things are. We're supposed to have a little bit of fun after addressing this issue, and there's another issue that was brought to my attention that happened last night. But with all due respect, we're not going to talk about it now, unless this person decides to come in the next few minutes. But my screen keeps freezing on my end, so I don't even know how you guys are on your end, besides this one viewer that I'm talking to outside the platform right now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead, and it's almost 1 o'clock. It's 12:58 in the morning, um, Monday morning, here in the Eastern time zone. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off, and I'll probably just join other broadcasts for the night. Um, Kind of de-stress on my own a little bit. Um, but yeah, I'll have to figure out my computer situation here. Otherwise, I'd stay on a little bit longer. But um, yeah, it keeps glitching a little bit, and I'm not really liking that right now. Not really anything I can do. The only thing I really can do right now is just to hop off. So, with that said, you guys have a good night, good morning, wherever you guys are. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening. And I will see you guys later.